Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to be talking about how to carry your team in matchmake. And this is something that a lot of people have problems with because I often see people say, I top frag every game or I'm near the top of the scoreboard, but my team won't win and I'm not ranking up the way I feel I should. And there are a few reasons for this, and we'll go over each of them. Now, the first one is going to be that a lot of people do play this extremely passive style where they're not actually impacting rounds. If you can imagine that you're on the terrorist side here and you simply sit mid waiting for rotates the whole round, and then eventually someone does rotate over to rotate and you get a frag there, or possibly your whole team dies and then you come out and get a kill, you have not actually made a major difference in the round, because a kill when you're later on in the round when that guy's rotating actually doesn't really win you very many rounds. The kills that actually win you rounds in a game of Counter-Strike, especially on the terrorist side, are going to be the kills where you're running up cat, you're running out long, something like that. You're the first or second player in the line. The entry frags, those are what really matter, because when you're playing a spot like this behind the box, you're basically saying, if my team is capable of taking up the cat or wherever they're going, or long, wherever, I will get a kill. If they're not, I will still likely get a kill, but we're gonna lose the round, because getting that kill is basically an inevitability so long as you can land your shot. But the fact is, you're not actually forcing your team to win rounds here. You're allowing your team to decide, maybe my team's better, they can get frags on cat and they can take cat, in which case I will impact the round positively. If they can't take cat, then I don't impact the round positively in any sort of meaningful way, right? So you need to make sure that you're always playing either a more aggressive stance where you're with your team, running out first, getting these trade kills, doing that type of thing, or you need to be going with your team, not aggressive, but you can go with your team, throw flashes for them, throw nades, you can support them and make their job easier. So at the very least, you've had some sort of positive impact on the way the round has played out, rather than just letting it play out on its own and hoping that you can help them afterwards. Now, this also does play into one other thing, which is going to be lurking, where what I was saying at Xbox here is a style of lurking, although there are other situations where you might be in that scenario, and too many people do try that style of lurking. I'll tell you the one way you can lurk if you're playing in matchmake is going to be, for example, you're working picks on Dust 2 here. You have, one or two players going cat, one or two players B. So you have, let's say you have 2 cat, 2 B, and you're outside long, or you're working long. What you can do is you're going for picks at long, you're trying to get something done. But let's say your team gets a pick on B, and your team starts to hit into B, and the cat guys fall back and hit out mid. This is where you lurk. You should never go into a round and say, I'm going to lurk, because that's where you start baiting your team. That's where you start having, like I said, rounds where you don't have a positive impact on the round. What you want to do is, in a situation like I just explained, your team doesn't need your help. They're already on their way to a bomb site, and you're going to be late there anyways. That's where you start to lurk. That's where maybe you can come up cat and you can drop CT behind them as they're trying to retake B, or maybe if your team runs 4 up cat and they've got full control of cat, instead of heading out long, you can lurk top mid, cover their back, or you could even lurk out long, that type of thing. Lurking should always be a scenario that you're thinking of using later on into the round. It shouldn't be something that you think about and at the beginning of the round have that in your head that you're going to do that. It should just be something that you can do, that you might do if certain things happen during a round. Now, the final thing I want to mention is actually what you bring to your team, because I see this a lot as well. Someone will say, I'm not fragging as well as my teammates. I don't deserve to be in this rank. Well, you need to be thinking about what you bring to your team, because if you're not bringing frags, you're obviously bringing something else. You're doing something for your team that's allowing your team to win rounds where someone else in your rank might not allow them to win those rounds, even if they frag better than you. And the answer is usually going to be either you're throwing some nice flashes, some nice smokes, or maybe you're even motivating your team so your team is doing better than they would without you, or you could potentially be that first man in, the guy that the rest of your team, they kind of bait you a little bit, and you're there, you're trying to get a couple kills, because an entry frag can be so massive to open up a round, but if you do die, you still have a teammate there to trade, right? So maybe you're entry fragging, you're the very first guy in line, and you're not always getting kills, so sometimes you're near the middle of the scoreboard, but realistically, the amount of impact frags you've gotten probably eclipses the amount of impact frags anybody else has gotten. Or, of course, like I said, maybe you're playing that support role, where you know someone wants to push in, you've got a flash for that, or maybe you know a smoke, you can just toss a smoke down, support your teammate in that way, and that way you can actually get stuff done without actually trying to get frags. And that kind of leads into the bit where a lot of people, when they're trying to carry their team, they get too focused on getting those frags and on opening up rounds and getting those entries. And what you need to recognize is when you're doing poorly, focus on playing smart, but change your playstyle. Fall back, play with your team, throw more flashes, throw more nades, play more passively, and allow your team to carry you. Because a lot of people have this problem where they're always trying their very hardest to carry their team, and so when they're doing poorly, they start to rage, they start to get angry, they can't really handle it, and they continue to get into a rut where they're continuing to do the same thing over and over without actually changing up their playstyle. If you're doing poorly, one of the most important aspects of being a good CSGO player is going to be allowing your team to carry you when you think it's possible. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.